My grandmother left behind more than just recipes. She left us pieces of her heart. Hidden in an old kitchen drawer was her secret notebook, filled with 25 crockpot meals that fed our family through decades of joy and hardship. These aren't just dishes, they're stories of love, survival, and the warmth of home-cooked meals that brought us together. Imagine walking into a house filled with the aroma of slow-simmered pot roast, the comfort of chicken and dumplings on a cold evening, or the sweet nostalgia of bread pudding made from yesterday's bread. Each recipe carries a memory. Sunday dinners after church, tough weeks made easier, celebrations that felt like holidays. Today, we're bringing these forgotten treasures back to life. Get ready to rediscover the magic of set-it-and-forget-it cooking that creates moments worth remembering. Let's start this journey through time, one delicious recipe at a time.
Pot roast with carrots and potatoes. This was the very first recipe in Grandmother's secret notebook, and next to it she wrote just one word. Sunday pot roast wasn't fancy, but it didn't need to be. You'd wake up Sunday morning, toss a big hunk of beef into the crock pot, add carrots, potatoes, a little onion, some salt, maybe just a splash of water. Then head to church. Come home, and the whole house smelled like heaven. The meat fell apart with a fork. Potatoes soaked up every bit of that beefy flavor. Carrots turned soft, sweet, perfect. But here's what I discovered in the margins. This wasn't just any Sunday dinner. It was their family ritual, week after week, year after year. Grandfather worked 6 days in the factory. Sunday pot roast was their one meal together. When everything in life kept changing, this stayed the same. This was the meal that whispered, "You're home."
Beef stew with turnips. Right below the pot roast recipe sat this hidden gem. But here's where Grandmother got clever. Turnips. Folks today shy away from turnips, but back then, they were gold. Cheap as dirt, stored all winter long. Gave the stew that perfect little kick, making it stand out. Her note read clear: make on Mondays with Sunday leftovers. Waste? Never heard of it. Any beef scraps from roast? Straight into the crock pot. Vegetables wilting in fridge? They join the party too. And get this, day 2, it tasted richer, deeper, better. But tucked in pencil, barely visible, almost scrubbed away. Made this the week Pop lost his job. Pop was grandfather. Never once heard about those dark days. Grandmother shielded us completely. She just kept that crock pot humming, kept plates full, kept family strong. Turnips weren't just root vegetables. They were her secret weapon. Survival wrapped in comforting stew. Pork chops in mushroom gravy. This recipe had a little heart drawn next to it in blue ink. Grandfather's absolute favorite. Grandmother made it after his tough factory weeks, tight money months, or just to see him smile. Chops cooked all day in thick, creamy mushroom sauce, till so tender no knife needed. Fork and white bread to soak gravy, perfection. Top note read, $3, feeds 4, with leftovers. Beside it, her secret: he doesn't know how broke we are. He bragged her pork chops best in town, while she stretched every penny. Dinner was love on budget. Chicken and dumplings. Never knew Grandmother made this in Crockpot. Always thought stovetop only. But there it was, in her handwriting with note, "Easier this way." Chicken thighs went into pot with broth, carrots, celery, cooked hours. Then, end of day, soft, fluffy dumplings dropped in, little clouds floating in broth. Meal for sick days, cold weather, when needed hug from inside. Always worked. But margins held date, February. Made for daughter when flu hit. That's what this recipe really was. Medicine that said, "I'm here." Swiss steak in tomato sauce. Swiss steak sounds fancy, but it's humble, cheap beef cuts, pounded flat, slow-cooked in rich tomato sauce till meltingly tender. Grandmother's note, bottom page. Serve with mashed potatoes. Sauce too good to waste. Perfect gravy sopper. Meal stretch dollar, fed family full, happy, even tough times. Top page, little story. First meal made for husband's parents. His mother said, too simple. Made again next week. Grandmother never argued back but proved point. Made Swiss steaks so perfect, great-grandmother asked recipe. Never admitted wrong but wanted recipe. Quiet kitchen power. Meatloaf with ketchup glaze. Meatloaf in Crockpot sounded strange, but grandmother had genius method. Shape loaf, wrap foil, set in Crockpot with water bottom, brush ketchup brown sugar glaze top. Cooked all day resulted moist, flavorful with sweet, tangy crust. Sliced, served green beans, mashed potatoes, leftover sandwiches next day. Bottom note, genius. Add oatmeal when meat expensive, not breadcrumbs. Oatmeal. Cheaper, stretched meat further. Pound beef fed 6. Nobody noticed. Nobody tasted difference. Strategy, ensuring family never hungry when budget said otherwise. Stuffed bell peppers. This recipe had most notes scribbled around it. Cut tops off, scoop seeds, stand them up so they don't fall. Detailed project, but Crockpot made easy. Fill peppers with ground beef, rice, tomato sauce, cheese, nestle into pot, splash water, cook till peppers soft, filling perfect. Meal to impress neighbors, church folks, visiting relatives. Looked fancy but humble ingredients. Bottom page note made smile. Made for pastor, asked if culinary school, said no, just Crockpot good timing. Grandmother never bragged, but presentation mattered as much as taste. Peppers proved no money needed for class.
Beef Stroganoff. Creamy, rich beef strips, mushrooms, swimming sour cream sauce. Grandmother didn't use fancy cuts, whatever sale. But 8 hours, Crockpot made magic. Beef fell apart tender. Served egg noodles. Family gathered quietly, too busy eating. Weeknight meal felt special. Margin note stopped cold. Made night before Pop's surgery. Wanted good last meal. Grandfather heart surgery 1985. Grandmother wanted hospital night warm, comforting home taste. He survived, lived 20 more years. Every stroganoff after, he'd smile, lucky meal. Food as hope, prayer, control when everything fell apart.
Ham and bean soup. Ultimate leftover meal. After Easter, Thanksgiving, any ham holiday, grandmother took bone, threw Crockpot with dried beans, onions, bay leaf, simmered all day. Beans, creamy, broth, smoky, rich. How smelled memory. Served cornbread, always enough freeze later. But notebook revealed truth. Wasn't just leftovers. Most expensive year meals stretched longest. Holiday ham cost much, but bone soup made 3-4 more meals. Nobody felt leftovers because ham bean soup tasted better original ham. Top note genius, 1 ham, 4 meals. That's how make next payday. Corned beef and cabbage. St. Patrick's Day staple, but grandmother made year-round. Corned beef brisket, Crockpot, with potatoes, carrots, cabbage wedges all day. Meat sliced thin against grain, tender, juicy pink center. Served boiled potatoes, cabbage, always enough. Side note revealed, made when rent due, no money. Corned beef cheapest protein pound. Fed family hearty meal landlord knocking. Nobody poorer feeling. Cabbage, potatoes, cheap fillers. Notebook math worked perfectly. Smart shopping plus Crockpot equals full table, empty pockets.
Pulled pork with vinegar sauce. Pork shoulder Crockpot all day with vinegar sauce onions till meat shredded easily with fork. Southern style, no smoker needed. Grandmother's note top page. Church picnic winner 3 years running. Vinegar sauce recipe hidden margin, guarded family secret. Neighbors begged copies. She shared basic version. Real recipe had extra cayenne for that special heat. Family devoured it on rolls with coleslaw in complete silence. Highest compliment. Bottom page, math genius. 10-pound shoulder fed 25 people. $1.20 per person. Church ladies impressed by presentation. Nobody knew true cost. Pulled pork proved grandmother was kitchen boss.
Chicken Cacciatore, Italian comfort in Crockpot. Chicken thighs, skin on, bone in, with peppers, onions, tomatoes, garlic, herbs, simmered till falling apart. Rich red sauce, perfect over pasta. Grandmother's Sunday supper star. Neighbors smelled cooking, asked in, shared plates freely. Margin secret? Used bruised peppers, discount bin. Nobody noticed imperfections. Sauce covered everything. Bottom calculation? 2 trays peppers fed 8. 89 cents per serving. Turned trash into feast. Proved love, flavor beat perfection. Ugly ingredients, beautiful results.
Chili. Winter survival food. Ground beef, beans, tomatoes, onions, chili powder, crock-pot all day. House-filled, spicy warmth chased cold away. Grandmother's big batch fed neighbors, too. Her note, sing hymns while it simmers, tastes better. Family laughed, but followed tradition. Snowy nights, bowl in hands, gathered around heater, sharing stories. Chilly, bonded family. Created memories warmer than food itself. Bowls steaming, cracked cornbread side, perfect winter medicine. Grandmother knew winter needed more than warmth. Needed stories. Needed togetherness.
Sloppy Joes. Grandma slowly cooked tender ground beef with fresh onions, sweet bell peppers, and a tangy tomato sauce all day inside her large white ceramic oval crockpot. The rich aroma filled the cozy 1960s kitchen, wrapping the family in warmth and comfort. Grandpa would chuckle and say, "The messier the sandwich, the better," as Grandma hummed softly, stirring the bubbling crockpot with loving care. These messy, flavorful sandwiches weren't just dinner. They were a symbol of family, laughter, and the simple joys of home-cooked meals. Served on soft, pillowy buns, her sloppy joes were the heart of every gathering, a delicious tradition passed down through generations.
Short ribs and red wine, the most special recipe in Grandma's notebook. She reserved this dish for celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, those rare moments worth holding on to. She would sear the ribs to a perfect crust on the stove, then nestle them into the large white ceramic oval crockpot with red wine, sweet carrots, earthy onions, and fragrant fresh thyme. The slow cooking all day turned the meat so tender it melted from the bone, and the sauce grew rich enough to savor by the spoonful. This was her way of saying you don't need a fancy restaurant when you have patience, a crockpot, and a grandmother who understands how to turn humble ingredients into something unforgettable. At the bottom of the recipe page, she scribbled a note. Only make this when you have something to celebrate. Don't waste good wine on a Tuesday. That line always made me smile, because she knew that some meals are for ordinary days, and some are for moments that truly matter. Short ribs belonged to those moments. It was more than just food. It was love, respect, and celebration served on a plate.
Turkey breast with herb butter. Grandma brushed tender turkey breast with fragrant herb butter, a blend of fresh rosemary, thyme, and sage, before placing it lovingly into our large white ceramic oval crock pot.
The slow heat gently infused the meat with rich flavors, turning it juicy and melt-in-your-mouth tender. This was the centerpiece of holiday dinners, a symbol of warmth and celebration. Grandpa always reminded us, good things come to those who wait, and every hungry bite proved him right. Served with roasted root vegetables, this recipe was more than food. It was family, tradition, and love wrapped in every savory slice.
This is pure comfort on a plate. Grandma started with a humble cut of beef, simmering it slowly with onions and rich broth until it became tender enough to fall apart. Only at the very end, she stirred in tender egg noodles, letting them soak up the savory goodness. This was the meal that welcomed you home on chilly evenings, when the cold stuck to your fingertips and you craved something simple, warm, and satisfying. But the story behind this dish runs deep. It wasn't just Grandma's recipe. It came through the generations, passed down from her mother and her mother before that. Every cook who added this recipe to their kitchen left a piece of their heart in it. Small tweaks, secret notes, special memories. Now, this dish isn't just food. It's a living family legacy, full of warmth, love, and history folded into every bite. This is more than beef and noodles. It's a tradition that ties us all together.
Torque tenderloin with apples. Autumn captured in a single dish. Grandma nestled pork tenderloin among crisp apple slices, caramel onions, and a whisper of cinnamon in her crockpot, letting flavors dance together through the day. The kitchen filled with the scent of falling leaves and harvest time, wrapping the house in golden warmth. Served alongside buttery roasted sweet potatoes, it was the meal that made everyone linger at the table. Tucked in blue ink at the recipe's edge was her memory. First harvest from our backyard orchard, turned windfall apples into family treasure. She spoke of their little 1960s home with the apple tree that showered fruit each fall. Neighbors helped gather baskets overflowing with apples, turning abundance into pies, sauces, and this unforgettable pork dish. Grandma taught us that the best meals don't cost much. They come from what grows right outside your door, wrapped in gratitude and shared around the table.
Stuffed cabbage rolls. The recipe demanding endless patience, yet rewarding every careful fold. Grandma gently blanched tender cabbage leaves, filled them with savory ground meat, fluffy rice, and aromatic spices, rolling each into perfect little bundles before arranging them lovingly in her crockpot. Hours of slow simmering transformed simple ingredients into something extraordinary. Cabbage melting soft, filling bursting with flavor, sauce penetrating every layer. This was Sunday ritual food made after church when time stretched long and love filled the kitchen. At the recipe's edge in faded pencil, Mama's Polish Golabki never rush family traditions. Her Polish mother's recipe lived on through her hands, even when grandkids rolled eyes at the work. Traditions like these aren't shortcuts, they're statements of roots, of endurance, of refusing to let heritage fade. Each roll carried generations of Sunday dinners, whispered stories in Polish, and unbreakable family bonds.
Sausage and peppers. Bold simplicity. Grandma tossed Italian sausages, vibrant peppers, onions, and marinara into her crockpot, cooking all day until sausages burst with juice and peppers turned sweet. Served on crusty hoagie rolls or pasta. Effortless comfort. Scribbled note, power outage night. Crockpot kept cooking 3 hours on residual heat. Dinner saved. Grandma mastered life's storms. Through blackouts and hard times, her crockpot stayed reliable, feeding family when power failed. Simple tools, unbreakable resilience. Brisket with onions. Grandma's holiday ritual, borrowed from a friend's heritage.
Though not Jewish, she honored Ruth's Brooklyn brisket. Salt-peppered rub, thick onion layers, splash of broth in the crock pot all day until fork-tender melt. Kitchen filled with savory promise of celebration. Top margin note, Ruth from hospital, food keeps memories alive. Ruth, 1960s nurse co-worker, shared her mother's Passover recipe during night shifts. Grandma adopted it faithfully for every family gathering. Food crosses borders through love, preserves friendships plate by plate. Ruth's brisket became ours. Connection forged in onions and broth, memory sustained through generations.
Lamb shanks with rosemary. Crockpot elegance at its finest. Grandma seared lamb shanks golden on the stove, then nestled them into her crockpot with fragrant rosemary sprigs, garlic cloves, ruby red wine, and ripe tomatoes. All day slow simmering until meat slipped gracefully from bone, sauce velvet rich. Reserved for special nights when she wanted to dazzle. Bottom pencil note reveals triumph. Tom's Boss Dinner, 1973. Factory invite plus raise followed. Grandpa's 30 factory years earned no company dinners. Those went to executives. But one evening, grandmother's lamb shanks changed everything. Boss visited home, tasted perfection. Next week came invitation and promotion. Coincidence? Perhaps. But grandmother marked victory, proving one extraordinary meal could rewrite destiny.
Chicken and rice casserole. One-pot miracle for tired days. Grandma layered bone-in chicken thighs, long-grain rice, creamy mushroom soup, rich broth, and diced onions in her crock pot. It turned into fluffy rice hugging tender chicken, perfect when she had no energy left. Bottom note tells the story. Made this all through Grandpa's layoff year. Money was gone, no room for fancy food. Twice a week, the same meal fed the family through hard times. Grandma counted every batch to know they would survive. Not gourmet cooking, just pure strength. The same recipe saved them every time, served with the same warm smile. Barbecue beef sandwiches. Summer crowd pleaser from Grandma's Crockpot. Chuck roast slow-cooked with tangy barbecue sauce and brown sugar until fork-tender shred. Piled high on hamburger buns with potato salad and baked beans, fed endless backyard gatherings. No grill needed for perfect barbecue. Top note marks triumph. July 4th, 1976 Bicentennial, fed 50+ from one crockpot. That day she hosted massive patriotic party, set roast morning, forgot it till guests arrived. Everyone raved, begged recipe. She smiled mysteriously and said, "Timing is everything." Crockpot mastery isn't technique, it's patience, planning, letting time transform ordinary into extraordinary while you celebrate. Grandma knew, best meals serve themselves.
The final recipe in Grandma's notebook, bread pudding. Sunday nights always meant this sweet comfort. When bread went stale, she'd tear it into chunks, soak it in milk, eggs, sugar, and vanilla. Raisins and cinnamon joined the mix before going into the crock pot, slowly turning into warm, custardy perfection, served with cream drizzle or vanilla ice cream scoop. One taste brought back childhood, safety, and home. At the bottom, in shaky handwriting years later, "Last thing I made before Tom died, he had 2 bowls." Tom was my grandfather who passed in 2003. No one knew this was his final meal. Grandma never told. She just kept making bread pudding every Sunday for 12 more years, keeping his memory alive through every batch. These recipes are more than food. They're love, memory, and strength woven through 50 years of daily kitchen care.
Now they're yours. Pick one. Make it this week. Write it down. Start your own notebook. Someday someone will find it and understand your heart.